Bradley Blackwell's champagne flute dangles like a prop in a cheap soap opera, emptied as crimson liquid streaks down Thomas's chest. Not wine, a humiliation ritual, wrapped in Merlot. The crowd gasps, then does what every modern aristocrat does best: document misery. Phones snap up like rifles on a battlefield. Flashes ignite. The ballroom hums with whispers sharper than glass. Thomas doesn't move. His rented tuxedo soaks like a martyr's robe, but his jaw? Steel. His silence isn't weakness. It's the prelude to revenge. Then Harrison Blackwell struts in, nails buffed, ego lacquered, pulling a crisp $100 from his pocket. He shoves it into Thomas S.'s chest, with the smugness of a man who has never been punched in the mouth. 2 hard pats on the cheek, mocking, dismissive. "Trouble money?" Harrison smirks. "Know your place." But here is the thing they don't know. Thomas Fisher isn't a waiter, heir to Nexus Technologies, the next chief innovation officer, the man about to inherit a $900 million empire. By this time tomorrow, those same cameras will capture the black man who owns their future. And Thomas, he won't throw a tantrum tonight. He's plotting symphonies of downfall, and the Blackwells will be the first violins screaming. 2 hours earlier, Thomas stares into his apartment mirror. The bow tie trembles in his hands, not from nerves about clothes, but from the crushing weight of legacy. Tonight isn't just a party. It's a battlefield with chandeliers. His phone buzzes. Destiny is calling. His phone screen lights. Dad. James Fisher's voice crackles across continents from Tokyo, calm, commanding. "The Blackwells will be there. Their investment could accelerate our Asian expansion, make a good impression." Thomas nods, though his father can't see him. "I know. I've studied their portfolio." "This isn't about portfolios," James says, his tone softening into steel. "They respect power, not potential. Remember what I taught you." Thomas exhales, the lesson etched into his bones. "Value is in character, not capital." "Exactly. Trust your judgment. This partnership is yours to make." The call ends. Thomas stares at his reflection, the weight of expectation pressing against the glass. His father, a titan, had raised him with deliberate humility. No trust fund, no shortcuts. Every rung on the ladder he had clawed for himself: intern, engineer, 18-hour days perfecting their revolutionary processor until he earned the right to lead. And now, tonight, the gala would test not just his title, but his resolve. The ballroom drips with excess. Chandeliers like frozen fireworks, gold-plated flatware, champagne rivers drowning out sincerity. The Blackwells, of course, hold court in the center like royalty. Harrison, the patriarch, an emperor in designer armor. Vanessa, his daughter, tossing barbs like poisoned darts. Bradley, the son, wine glass perpetually half full of arrogance. They critique fashion choices with surgical cruelty, whispers sharpened just enough to wound while maintaining plausible deniability. Thomas approaches, invitation in hand. A security guard blocks him. Staff entrance is around back. "I'm a guest." Thomas presents the embossed card. The guard squints, skeptical, then steps aside. But Harrison notices. He leans toward Bradley, smirking. "New money? Standards aren't what they used to be." Their laughter is just loud enough for Thomas to hear. His smile tightens, but he doesn't bite. Predators don't chase prey. They wait. From a distance, he watches. Bradley berates a waiter over champagne temperature until the young man shakes. Vanessa trips a busboy, then cackles as dishes shatter like glass grenades. The staff wear polite masks, stretched thin over fear. The Blackwells are predators feasting on dignity, and they don't know tonight's nobody will write their billion-dollar obituary tomorrow. The crowd drifts toward the auction stage, banners preaching children's education, while wealth drips down the marble like grease. The auctioneer, a washed-up TV host with a fake tan and 2 white teeth, hypes luxury vacations, celebrity handshakes, exclusive club memberships. The rich clap, sipping champagne with one hand while pretending philanthropy with the other. Thomas stays quiet until a modest lot appears. A vineyard weekend, private tasting included. 500, Thomas calls, his voice calm, deliberate. Heads turn. Bradley swivels like a vulture spotting movement. 5,000. Thomas lifts a brow. 5,500. Bradley rises, smirk loaded. Champagne dangling from manicured fingers. Perhaps stick to items in your price range? 50,000. The crowd titters. The auctioneer slams the gavel like he can't wait for the discomfort to end. Sold. But then, silence. The screen shifts. The next lot, exclusive commercial partnership rights to Nexus Technologies' quantum processor. The air changes. This isn't a trip to Paris or a diamond bracelet. This is empire. Harrison Blackwell rises, slow as a python uncoiling. His voice is velvet laced with menace. 1 million. He doesn't speak to the room. He speaks at Thomas. A challenge, a line in the sand. Thomas doesn't flinch, doesn't move. His phone vibrates in his pocket. Destiny, again, demanding an answer. His phone buzzes beneath the table, a text from his father. Trust your judgment on partnerships. Your call to make. Remember our values. Thomas tucks the words into his chest like armor. He'll need them. During the intermission, Vanessa Blackwell approaches, champagne flute gleaming like a weapon. Her smile is polished, but her eyes scan the room for shinier prey. You work at Nexus, right? I thought I recognized you. Thomas accepts the glass, polite as ever. Yes, entry level. He starts. I lead the processor development team. But she laughs, slicing through his words. Adorable. We're actually meeting the Fiser heir tomorrow, the CEO's son, the actual decision-maker, not staff. Her dismissiveness drips heavier than the champagne she sips. I should go. Good luck with your career. Thomas smiles, controlled. I hope your meeting goes well for everyone involved. Vanessa tosses her perfect hair, already moving on. Oh, it will. My father always gets what he wants. Every word is a brick sealing their own tomb. They just don't know it yet. Dinner service arrives, a parade of silver domes lifted with dramatic flair, revealing art on plates, presentation over nourishment. Thomas moves toward his corner table, far from the Blackwell's orbit of influence. But Bradley intercepts, a glass of red wine swirling like a loaded gun in his hand. Their shoulders brush. The accident is too clean to be accidental. The wine splashes across Thomas's chest, transforming his white shirt into a crimson spectacle. Conversations die. The ballroom freezes. Someone call the rental company. Bradley's voice slices the silence. This waiter needs a replacement. Laughter ripples, hesitant, then contagious as guests realize Thomas holds no social capital. Phones rise, flashes explode, humiliation archived forever. Thomas stands still, soaked but unshaken. Harrison rises, savoring the spotlight. He strolls forward, slow and deliberate, like a wolf circling fresh prey. From his pocket, he pulls a crisp $100, a performance piece. He slides it into Thomas's pocket, then pats his cheek twice, the way you discipline a dog. There's a little something for your trouble. His voice drops low, venom disguised as advice. Know your place next time. Security closes in. Sir, perhaps you should... He's with me. The voice cuts through the ballroom. An elderly woman steps forward, small in stature, but radiating authority like marble carved by time. Eliza Thornton, she says to the guard, who instantly backs away. She takes Thomas's arm, guiding him to a quiet alcove. Her gaze is sharp, kind, and knowing. The Blackwells have always been that way. Old money, rotten roots. I knew your father when he was starting out. James would be appalled by their behavior. You know who I am, Thomas murmurs, dabbing his shirt. Of course. Those Fiser eyes are unmistakable. Her smile curves with mischief. They have no idea, do they? Thomas shakes his head. I'd appreciate your discretion until tomorrow's meeting. Oh, Eliza's eyes glimmer. I wouldn't miss that for the world. Across the room, the Blackwells laugh in their kingdom of glass. Harrison boasts, his voice booming. Once we control that processor technology, we'll crush every competitor. The Fiser boy will fold. They always do. No killer instinct. Thomas excuses himself, slipping into the restroom. From his car, he retrieves a spare shirt, always prepared. In the mirror, his reflection stares back, his father's eyes. He recalls James's words. Our technology should empower those who will use it responsibly. His phone rings. Tokyo again. How's the gala? James asks. Educational, Thomas replies, recounting the spectacle. A pause. What are you thinking? Thomas's voice hardens, firm, unshakable. I'm thinking we need to reconsider who we partner with. Silence. Then his father's steady approval. I trust your judgment. You have my full support. Wine stains can be scrubbed away. What the Blackwells revealed tonight, their cruelty, arrogance, naked disdain that will never wash clean. Thomas drives home, headlights carving through the dark. Classical music plays softly, unbroken. His grip on the wheel is calm, steady. Only his eyes, the Fiser eyes, betray what's turning inside him. Machinery, consequence, strategy. The humiliation doesn't matter. What matters is the truth. How the Blackwells treat people when they believe no one consequential is watching. Tomorrow they'll learn who was watching all along. His apartment feels cavernous after the gala's gaudy opulence. No lights, just the city bleeding neon through glass. Thomas stands at the window, stripped of spectacle, armed with resolve. 3 calls, 3 weapons. First call, Nexus's executive team. I need full reports on Blackwell Industries, labor practices, environmental compliance, financials, everything. Sir, it's nearly midnight, his assistant protests. We have a 9 a.m. meeting that decides the future of both companies. I need it now, Thomas replies, voice like steel drawn from its sheath. Within the hour, files flood his screen. Each swipe is another scalpel cut. Safety violations buried, whistleblowers crushed, employees broken, competitors bankrupted. The Blackwell empire isn't built on brilliance, it's built on bones. Second call, legal counsel. Prepare termination clauses for any potential agreement with Blackwell Industries, maximum protection for our tech and our people. Expecting problems? The lawyer asks. I'm ensuring they're the ones with problems, Thomas answers coldly. Third call, Tokyo. His father listens silently as Thomas recounts every humiliation, every insult. They showed you who they are, James Fiser says finally. I believe them, Thomas replies. His voice doesn't crack, it cuts. Their empire is intimidation and exploitation. Ours won't be. As my successor, this is your call. Whatever you decide, I back you completely. Across the city, the Blackwell mansion glows like a cathedral to arrogance. Harrison gathers his heirs in the study, crystal tumblers of scotch raised. The Nexus deal is practically signed, he crows. The CEO's still playing monk in Tokyo, leaves his precious son to handle negotiations. Perfect setup, especially after tonight. Bradley laughs, waving his phone. Classic power move, Dad. He shows the pictures of a wine-soaked Thomas. Sent these to PR. After the contract, we leaked them. A reminder of the natural hierarchy. Vanessa sips her drink, amused. Tomorrow we meet the Fiser heir and wrap him around our fingers. Another trophy. They toast. They celebrate. They have no idea the executioner already sharpened the blade. Back at his window, Thomas studies the glittering Blackwell Tower stabbing the skyline. Inside, thousands of employees flinch under the daily terror of rulers who confuse cruelty with leadership. His jaw hardens. The vow is silent, but absolute. The Blackwells will never touch Nexus technology, or his people. By sunrise, Thomas holds every card. By sunset, the Blackwells won't even be at the table. Morning, Nexus headquarters gleams, a curved glass cathedral reflecting the city's awakening. Thomas arrives at 7, 2 hours early, dressed in a tailored suit sharper than a scalpel. Today isn't about humility. Today is war. The executive team assembles. Coffee steams untouched. Pastries sit ignored. The air buzzes like charged wire. 2 contract options, Thomas explains, sliding identical folders to the CFO. The man frowns. I don't understand. Insurance. Thomas straightens his father's company pin on his lapel. The first is our standard partnership terms. The second... He pauses, glancing out the window. 3 black SUVs roll into the reserved spaces below, glossy as caskets. The Blackwells have arrived, 15 minutes early. Predators never like to wait. A power play meant to unbalance. Thomas doesn't blink. Let them wait in reception for exactly 14 minutes, he instructs. Not 13, not 15. Predators hate silence, and Thomas knows silence is a blade. The Blackwells make their entrance like royalty returning from exile. Harrison's custom Italian shoes echo across the marble, each step demanding worship. Vanessa drifts behind him, perfume announcing her before her words can wound. Bradley lags, scrolling through his phone, snickering at something cruel. Coffee? Harrison demands of the receptionist, not bothering with eye contact. She delivers it with flawless composure. 1 sip, and he grimaces. Is this the best you have? The CEO's son will be with you shortly, she replies, smile steady as glass. I bet he makes us wait on purpose, Vanessa sighs, inspecting her manicure. Tech types always play games to compensate for their awkwardness. Bradley turns his phone. The wine-soaked photo of Thomas flashes across the screen, already viral with mocking captions. Look, Dad. Instant classic. Harrison's laugh shakes the lobby. By noon, we'll own the future of computing. Inside the boardroom, Thomas studies the final report on his tablet. Blackwell Industries, 900 million of illusion. Their entire empire rests on projected earnings that collapse without Nexus's processor. Sandcastles in a rising tide. The intercom clicks. The Blackwells are ready, sir. Thomas straightens his tie, aligns the folders like chess pieces, and nods. Send them in. The doors open. The Blackwells stride inside, business smiles painted on. Then they see him. Recognition detonates. Their grins curdle into horror. Good morning, Thomas greets, calm as marble. I believe we've already met. Shock hangs heavy. Harrison recovers first. His politician's mask flickers through denial, calculation, and counterfeit warmth in 2 seconds flat. He laughs, brittle as shattered glass. Thomas, what a misunderstanding last night. He extends a hand. We had no idea you were... The waiter? Thomas finishes, voice even cutting. He doesn't shake, doesn't yield. Or the CEO's son you're here to negotiate with. Bradley fumbles with his phone, fingers flying to erase the photos now spiraling through gossip blogs. Vanessa's spine, so perfectly poised hours ago, bends under invisible weight. Harrison pivots, desperate charm coating his tone. Your humility is remarkable. Most heirs would have announced themselves. That's exactly the kind of leadership we admire at Blackwell Industries. Your father must be proud. Thomas doesn't dignify the flattery. Instead, he touches a control. The wall screen ignites. Schematics, graphs, timelines bloom across the glass. This, Thomas begins, voice sharp with precision, is Nexus's quantum processor, a paradigm shift. Energy efficiency unmatched, market dominance guaranteed for at least 5 years. With it, companies rise. Without it, They struggle to survive. The predators lean in, reflexes too strong to resist. Harrison's eyes glitter with greed. Vanessa calculates social capital, her silence a mask for desperation. Bradley imagines crushing rivals, his smirk reawakening. Thomas slides a folder across the table. We're prepared to offer exclusivity for the first year. The terms are outlined. Harrison seizes it like a starving man with bread, skimming the pages with glowing approval. Meanwhile, Vanessa attempts damage control, her voice sugared to hide the bitterness. I've always admired the Fiser vision. Your father's rise was legendary. And now your innovations. Her words fade when Thomas's expression remains carved from stone. Finally, Harrison looks up from the contract, beaming, triumph dancing in his eyes. These terms are acceptable, Harrison declares, mask of triumph plastered across his face. We can sign today. Before we do, Thomas cuts in, tone calm but commanding. There's something from our background research we need to address. He withdraws a slim black file and opens it with deliberate precision. Reports slide across the table like knives. Labor violations, environmental negligence, predatory acquisitions, sins stacked higher than Blackwell Tower. The air temperature seems to drop 10 degrees. Harrison's smile stiffens. Industry standard practices, he dismisses, waving it away like smoke. The cost of staying competitive. I understand, Thomas replies smoothly. And that information certainly informs our decision. He retrieves the first contract, then replaces it with another. The second folder is no partnership. It's an extinction-level event dressed as legalese. Harrison scans the pages. His mask fractures. Color drains from his face. A vein throbs at his temple. This is outrageous, he erupts, slamming the contract down. Oversight of our internal operations? Mandatory ethics training? A restructuring of our management? Those, Thomas replies, voice steady as stone, are our conditions for partnership. My father fully supports them. Vanessa snatches the document, her lacquered nails trembling. The honey in her tone curdles. You can't possibly expect us to agree to this. You're right, Thomas says. The first genuine acknowledgement he's given them all meeting. I don't expect you to agree, because this meeting isn't about securing your partnership. He lets the silence strangle them. It's about informing you, he continues, that Nexus will be partnering exclusively with your 3 largest competitors instead. The words land like body blows. Harrison's face bleaches white. He sees it. The implosion, valuations collapsing, investors stampeding, 3 generations of empire dissolving into dust. You're making a mistake, Harrison hisses, voice low, venomous. The Blackwells have friends in every industry. One word from us and... About what? Thomas interrupts, sharp as glass. How you treated someone you thought was beneath you. Please, share that story widely. Bradley explodes, fist hammering the polished table. This is personal. You're destroying a billion-dollar company over a spilled drink. No, Thomas corrects, calm and lethal. I'm refusing to empower people who've shown me exactly how they use power. The spilled drink didn't ruin you. You ruined you. It just revealed the truth. Harrison lurches to his feet, last card in hand, raw money. His chair screeches backward. Name your price. Everyone has one. Or does Daddy need to approve that too? Thomas rises, meeting him eye to eye. No fear, only fire. My father taught me some things aren't for sale, Mr. Blackwell, like integrity. He reaches into his pocket and places the 100 bill Harrison once used to tip him. I'm returning your generosity. The meeting is over. The Blackwells came to devour technology but collided with the deadliest innovation in the room, principled power. Their exit is pathetic choreography. Harrison stiff with rage, jaw clamped. Bradley clawing at his tie like it's choking him. Vanessa's manicured fingers tapping a frantic code on her leather portfolio. The door opens. Thomas's assistant steps in, unbothered by the storm in the room. Sir, Your father is on the line from Tokyo. Thornton Group, Rivera Enterprises, and Fujimoto Technologies have all confirmed their participation in the joint development program. Thomas nods, composed. Perfect timing. Please inform my father we'll announce the collaboration at today's press conference. The word detonates. Press conference? Harrison croaks. Yes, Thomas confirms, checking his watch with infuriating calm. In 1 hour, my father and I will jointly announce our strategic partnerships and the launch of our industry ethics initiative from Tokyo and New York. You're welcome to stay. The industry is about to change direction. As the Blackwells stagger toward the exit, a figure blocks their path. Eliza Thornton, small in stature, titanic in presence. Harrison falters. You two know each other? She was my doctoral advisor at MIT, Thomas explains, the final dagger sliding home. She recognized the potential in my processor design when I was still a grad student. The truth crashes into them like a collapsing skyscraper. Thomas isn't just the CEO's son. He's the inventor, the architect of the technology they've been drooling over. And I introduced him to his father's board when they were hunting for innovation leadership, Eliza adds, smile sharp as glass. The tech world is smaller than you think, Harrison. Thomas activates the wall screen. Not the standard deck. A new one. The room fills with visions, quantum processors integrated across industries kneeling before the inevitable. In 18 months, Thomas says, this will be the industry standard. Companies without access will cease to exist. Slide after slide burns across the screen. Logos of major corporations, already signed, already aligned under Thomas's ethics initiative. This isn't just about technology, he declares. It's about setting new standards, labor, environment, governance, a future where innovation doesn't excuse exploitation. These companies, he gestures at the screen, have already committed. The Blackwells stand frozen, staring at the future they're forever locked out of. Compliance will be voluntary, Thomas says, tone cool and measured, though every executive in the room hears the iron beneath it. But companies that don't participate have access to the joint development platform. It takes only a heartbeat for Harrison's fury to drain into something uglier, desperation. His empire, his legacy, his family's stranglehold on the market, all collapsing in real time. This isn't losing a contract, he realizes aloud, voice cracking. This is exile. You can't do this, Harrison whispers, stripped of all his practiced bravado. I'm not doing anything to you, Thomas replies evenly, unshaken. I'm building the future with partners who share our values. Your exclusion is entirely self-inflicted. Security arrives, but this time not to drag Thomas away in humiliation, like at the gala. No. This time the guards stand at his shoulder, awaiting his nod. The Blackwells are the ones being shown the door. Harrison grasps at one last thread. His voice rises, trembling between rage and pleading. Your father's board members are friends of mine. They'll hear about this abuse of power, this vendetta. Thomas doesn't flinch. The board unanimously approved this direction this morning, after hearing what happened last night. After seeing the same reports I did. No one wants to partner with a company that treats people the way you treat people. The words slice cleaner than any blade. Harrison's face caves in on itself, a man suddenly aware that the floor beneath him has given way. As security escorts them out, Thomas turns toward the glass wall overlooking the city, his reflection merged with the skyline. He initiates the video link to Tokyo. On one side of the world, James Fisher. On the other, his son. 2 generations aligned, ironclad. The press conference ignites with military precision. Twin screens display father and son, united across continents. Behind them, the Nexus logo pulses like a heartbeat, like inevitability. Today marks a new chapter in technological innovation, James declares, voice carrying with patriarchal authority. Thomas picks up seamlessly, every syllable a hammer strike. Nexus Technologies is proud to announce exclusive development partnerships with Thornton Group, Rivera Enterprises, and Fujimoto Technologies for the implementation of our quantum processor architecture. The room erupts in furious typing as analysts scramble to process the seismic shift. 4 titans spanning 3 continents have just redrawn the map of global tech. Then Thomas delivers the coup de grace. Technology is power, and power must be wielded responsibly by those who respect everyone, regardless of position or background. He never says the word Blackwell. He doesn't need to. The silence around their name is louder than condemnation. The market does the rest. Within 20 minutes, Blackwell Industries stock craters 15%, triggering automatic halts. When trading resumes, the nosedive accelerates. By noon, 40% of their valuation, $360 million, has evaporated. Financial networks cut to wall-to-wall coverage. Morning pundits who once praised Harrison's ruthless genius now perform autopsies on his empire, slicing open every structural flaw. They built their entire forward strategy on securing Nexus's next-generation processor, one analyst explains. Without it, their product pipeline isn't delayed, it's dead. Another doesn't bother with nuance. They've been locked out of the future. And then, the cruelest irony. Bradley's photo of a wine-soaked Thomas, uploaded gleefully just hours ago, finally hits gossip blogs. But the narrative has flipped. Headlines read, "Humility in Leadership. Tech heir endures mockery, delivers revolution." Prince in disguise, Thomas Fiser lets actions speak louder than name. The $900 million mistake, Blackwell's mocked the wrong waiter. Comments flood in, praise for Thomas's restraint, condemnation of the Blackwell's arrogance. Memes sprout overnight, turning Harrison's smirk into the face of hubris. By the time the Blackwell's elevator descends to the street, their phones are already vibrating with panic. Investors demanding answers, board members questioning leadership, allies retreating into silence. The empire didn't just fall, it imploded. All because they mocked the wrong black man at a charity gala. At Blackwell headquarters, chaos is no longer creeping, it's king. Harrison locks himself inside his office, blinds drawn against the skyline he once believed he owned. Board members and investors bombard his phone with the same 3 questions he cannot answer. How did you misjudge the deal so catastrophically? How did you fail to recognize Thomas Fiser? How did you let arrogance blind you to the obvious? Vanessa scrambles in the PR war room, issuing carefully worded statements about temporary setbacks. But for every press release she posts, 10 ex-employees flood social media with horror stories. They made me work 100-hour weeks, then fired me when my child needed surgery. Harrison Blackwell told me ethics were for losers. The hashtag Blackwell exposed trends worldwide. Bradley, panicked, calls media contacts to kill the wine-spilling story. But like gasoline on fire, every attempt to bury it resurrects it louder. Screenshots multiply, memes metastasize, headlines sharpen. What was once a family's flex has become a generational curse. By mid-afternoon, law firms circle like sharks. Class action suits pour in. Words like fraudulent disclosure and fiduciary breach echo in news feeds. Blackwell Industries stock nosedives to $300 million with no parachute. Meanwhile, Nexus glitters. Their stock surges. Their ethics initiative gains signatures by the hour as companies scramble to declare allegiance to the new order. Analysts rewrite forecasts, crowning Thomas Fiser as the visionary of his generation. His name trends globally, not just as the CEO's heir, but as the architect of the processor that rewired the industry. Sunset delivers the final dagger. The Blackwell board announces an emergency shareholder meeting to discuss leadership direction, a euphemism as sharp as a guillotine. Harrison's reign is ending, by revolt. Thousands of miles away in Tokyo, James Fiser watches the destruction unfold across 6 screens. He calls his son as the markets close. You've transformed the industry in a day, James says, voice as steady as the man himself. It wasn't my intent to destroy them, Thomas answers quietly. No, his father replies. Your intent was to protect. Their destruction is self-inflicted. They built an empire on sand. You simply stepped aside and let the tide come in. Thomas stares out at New York's skyline, where Blackwell Tower flickers dimmer than usual. Does that make this right? James's silence is heavy before he speaks. Right and easy aren't the same thing. Power reveals character, theirs and yours, and I'm proud of how you wielded it. Night deepens. Inside Blackwell HQ, lawyers draft a desperate defense. Thomas Fiser pursued a vendetta. They don't realize reputational assassination only works if the target has character left to assassinate. Thomas's reputation, integrity forged in public and private, is untouchable. By dawn, Blackwell Industries is a husk. Board members quietly contact recruiters. Executives scrub LinkedIn profiles. Partners activate exit clauses. Even the janitorial staff whisper about finding new work. The Blackwell family, once royalty, enters their headquarters like trespassers. Security guards check their badges with deliberate slowness. Assistants scatter rather than meet their eyes. The boardroom, once Harrison's throne room, now feels like a courtroom. And at the center of it all, one image haunts Harrison's mind, the $100 bill, returned to him by the waiter who turned out to hold every card. The Blackwells prepared for every contingency but one, the price of their own character. The empire hadn't been stolen, it had rotted, and Thomas Fiser merely turned on the lights. The boardroom feels like a morgue. Blackwell portraits once looming like gods are gone, replaced by empty hooks, gaps in the wall as glaring as the holes in Harrison's empire. Wealthy men and women sit stiff-backed, faces frozen in that rare look of privilege interrupted, the realization of real financial loss. The board chair, Harrison's old golf buddy, once deferential on the fairway, speaks with surgical coldness. 68% of company value evaporated in a week, partnerships dissolved, lawsuits multiplying. We are here to determine next steps. Harrison leans forward, booming with the false thunder of a man who thinks volume equals authority. The market is overreacting to temporary setbacks. We'll secure alternative technology. We've already... The chair cuts him off flatly. No one is taking your calls. Harrison's face reddens. This is a Fiser vendetta, not business. We'll challenge Nexus on antitrust grounds. My legal team resigned this morning, another member interrupts. All of them. Before Harrison can sputter again, a woman he doesn't recognize rises from the far end of the table. Her clothing whispers power, understated, tailored, expensive. I represent Meridian Investment Group. We've sold our shares to a consortium led by the Thornton Group. The room ignites. Other shareholders confirm similar moves. All above-market offers, all coordinated. This is a hostile takeover, Harrison bellows, veins bulging. The board chair doesn't flinch. The offers are contingent on leadership changes. You can't remove me, Harrison roars. I am this company. I built it. The final nail comes from a silver-haired attorney, the outside counsel, calm, precise, deadly. Evidence shows Mr. Blackwell and his children concealed lawsuit settlements, misled the board on compliance, and breached fiduciary duty. Grounds for immediate removal, willful misconduct. The vote is swift, overwhelming, irrevocable. 15 minutes is all it takes to erase 3 generations of empire. The Blackwell family leaves the boardroom not as titans, but as pariahs. In the lobby, a television blares live coverage. Thomas Fiser inaugurates Nexus's new research center. Standing at a podium framed by glass walls, he looks directly into the camera, his voice steady, unshaken. We build technology to elevate humanity, not exploit it. The words aren't meant for Harrison, but they land like a dagger anyway. Outside, reporters descend like vultures. Flashes explode. Microphones stab forward. Harrison's legendary self-control finally fractures. He shoves a cameraman. The footage, played on loop that evening, crystallizes the Blackwell brand: arrogance and violence. In the limo, silence is thicker than glass. Bradley's voice trembles. What do we do now? Harrison has no answer, only the weight of a $100 bill in his pocket, returned to him like a curse, now worth more than his dignity. 6 months later, the world has changed. Thomas Fiser, son of a black father who built his legacy through discipline and vision, stands at the Global Technology Forum before the most powerful gathering in the industry. Behind him, graphs glow, workplace satisfaction soaring, compliance metrics tightening, innovation rising. The data is clear, Thomas says, pointer slicing the air. Ethical business doesn't just feel better, it performs better. The audience listens, not just politely, but hungrily. Executives from companies once allergic to ethics scribble notes. Even the restructured Blackwell Industries, now under new leadership, sits in silent attention. Eliza Thornton nods approvingly. Industry veterans lean forward. Cameras capture it all. Near the back, James Fiser watches with quiet pride. He has stepped into an advisory role after 30 years, content to let the future rest in his son's hands. Headlines scroll across the screens. Phillips joins Fiser Ethics Initiative. Stock jumps 12%. How the Fiser framework is redefining innovation, ethical tech, trend, or new normal. A respected business journal sums it up best. Companies that joined Fiser's initiative don't just survive, they outperform. Thomas doesn't smile. He doesn't gloat. He simply delivers the truth, his voice steady, his presence commanding. A man who rewrote the rules and proved that integrity is the most unassailable technology of all. And somewhere, far away, the Blackwells watch from exile, powerless witnesses to the empire they lost, the industry they no longer control, and the future they'll never touch. The article concludes with a headline that echoes around the world. What began as moral leadership has become sound business strategy. At Nexus headquarters, Thomas mentors a group of young engineers. Their faces reflect the diversity the industry once excluded. A young woman, her voice steady but her eyes revealing experience, asks, "How do you handle discrimination in this industry?" Thomas answers without bitterness, recalling his gala humiliation as if it were just another data point. People will judge you by their standards, not your worth. Your job isn't to match their standards, it's to transform them, not through arguments, but through achievement. Former Blackwell employees now thrive in ethical workplaces. Innovation accelerates, productivity climbs, turnover plummets. One ex-manager chokes up on camera. "I was forced to mistreat my team. Harrison told me, either they break or you do. I thought cruelty was just business. Now I know better. I can succeed without destroying others." The industry itself shifts. Universities rewrite business curricula to include ethical leadership modules. Venture capital firms embed ethics scores in investment criteria. Regulators adopt the Fiser framework as compliance benchmarks. What began as revenge has become revolution. Meanwhile, Harrison Blackwell drifts into irrelevance. A brief clip shows him pitching investors in a dim conference room. They smile politely, then decline. The Blackwell name once opened every door, now it locks them shut. His empire is reduced to a business school cautionary tale. 6 months later, Thomas sits in his office, quarterly reports spread across his desk. Nexus's numbers exceed projections, but his eyes linger on a quieter page. Rising labor standards, stronger environmental safeguards, ethics clauses adopted industry-wide. The revolution now moves without him, an unstoppable force. His assistant interrupts. "Sir, someone here without an appointment. Vanessa Blackwell." Thomas hesitates, then, "Send her in." She enters, stripped of the armor she once wore. Simple suit, short practical hair, no performance, no artifice. "I'm not here on family business," she begins. She explains. "Harrison sulks at the estate. plotting fantasies. Bradley hides in Europe, curating fake social media perfection. But Vanessa chose differently. I started listening, she admits, to our employees, to people like you. I realized we measured success in dollars, not impact. So I sold my jewelry, my cars. I started a foundation for workers' rights and education. I don't want forgiveness, just a chance to learn. Thomas studies her, searching for the old manipulation, and finds none. Finally, he speaks softly. True power isn't controlling others, it's elevating them. The strongest leaders don't create followers, they create more leaders. Later, at a coffee shop, the barista, once berated by Bradley at the gala, smiles as he prepares Thomas's order. Now, thanks to a Nexus scholarship, he's in college. Any regrets about the Blackwells? He asks. The blogs still call it the waiter's revenge. Thomas shakes his head. I don't celebrate their downfall. I celebrate the system becoming more just. That's different. The barista grins. On the house today, boss. Thomas insists on paying, sliding over a generous tip. I value the work you do, he says simply. Outside, a magazine cover at a newsstand shows him and James side by side. The Fisher Legacy, How Father and Son Changed Tech Culture. Thomas doesn't stop. His measure of success isn't ink or stock charts. It's the thriving ex-Blackwell employees, the students climbing toward futures they once thought impossible, the shift from technology as a weapon of dominance to a tool for human advancement. His phone buzzes. A message from James. Character builds empires. Cruelty destroys them. Thomas smiles faintly, pocketing the phone. His father had taught him that lesson long ago. The difference now is that an entire industry has learned it too, not through sermons, but through consequences. Some truths can't be taught. They must be experienced. The Blackwells learned the hard way. Thomas hopes others won't need such expensive tuition. If you enjoyed this story of poetic justice and transformation, hit the like button right now. These fate tales take time to craft, and your support keeps them coming. Want more stories where arrogance meets consequence and integrity rewrites destiny? Subscribe to Fate Tales for weekly narratives that entertain, inspire, and remind us that true power lies in character, not wealth or position. Share this with someone who needs that reminder today. At Fate Tales, we turn one moment of injustice into a call for change. Help us make that call louder, stronger, and impossible to ignore.